Let's recap week one. Welcome to Fantasy Football Today, presented by BetMGM, the sportsbook born in Vegas. Trivia question. Who's RB1 right now in PPR?
Dylan Sampson.
No.
No.
It's Bijan Robinson. Who's wide receiver one? It's Quentin Johnston. Who's tight end one?
Harold Fannin.
Bowers?
It's either Bowers or Juwan Johnson. They both have 15. I don't know who's. I think it's Juwan Johnson by 0.3 of a point. And Dave, we know the answer. Who's QB1 as of right now before Sunday Night Football?
Well, if Quentin Johnston's number one at wide receiver, then clearly his quarterback is by 0.3 of a fantasy point over Aaron Rodgers.
Yes.
Just as we all predicted.
How about that? All right, everybody. I hope you're off to a good start. You probably not everybody is. There were some real stinkers out there this week for sure. We'll talk about.
Are you saying stinkers with glee in your voice?
There were so many. I have one team that had like 4 of the very worst players in football this week. You just gotta laugh at it.
You're still laughing.
You gotta laugh at it. You gotta have a good sense of humor.
Yes. Right? 1 week does not make a season, as we'll say a bunch of times.
Yeah, especially for rookie running backs.
One of the most amazing things I've ever seen is that I faced Javonte Williams and Quentin Johnston in a league.
Oh.
And I'm winning. 1.
Are you going to win that league?
Winning or 1?
1.
Oh, you won.
Started Javonte Williams, Quentin Johnston, and Tyler Warren against me.
That's me. That's my team. Oh, well, I guess I'm 0-1 in that league. All right. Anyway, biggest winner.
Well, I'm happy I lose.
Biggest loser. Let's get a big winner, Heath.
Well, I thought my winners were probably not the biggest winners. Start with Dave.
Let's get a big winner, Dave.
I don't know if my winners are the biggest winners. Oh, wait, there's one. Emeka Egbuka, who had all kinds of hype going on in the preseason, comes into week one, and with the help of Baker Mayfield, has a very great debut. Only 6 targets, but a couple of touchdowns, including what ended up being the game winner, I believe.
Yep, it was. He was 58% started, 6 targets. I mean, look, that's not great. Out of 32 pass attempts, Sterling Shepard also had 6 targets. Mike Evans had 8, but Egbuka led the team in receiving with 67 yards, and he had 2 of 3 touchdowns from Baker Mayfield. Bucky Irving had the other one, and they only put up 23 points, but they had good fantasy days.
I felt like they got off to a slow start, and then once they got kicking in the middle of the second half, I'd say, that's when we saw the real Tampa offense moving forward.
Okay, I'm going to give my other winners now, but I'm stealing Dave's because the biggest winner was Justin Fields. He was awesome.
He was.
In almost every way. And I didn't watch, especially the 12 p.m. games. It's almost impossible to watch every snap of every game. But I saw a lot of his passes that were on target, on time, looked good, and he runs the ball like a maniac. Only 48 yards in this game, but 2 rushing touchdowns against the Steelers. He scored 30 against the Steelers.
Okay, Heath, you have lived in Florida for like a decade. They're not the 12 p.m. games anymore. Okay,
they're still the 12 p.m. games. You know what? They're the 10 a.m. games for the West Coast.
They are.
12 p.m. is a nice compromise, and it fits so much better. Football starts at noon.
Okay, fine. So actually on the broadcast, because I did watch a lot of this game, on the broadcast, the color broadcaster, this was an Iron Eagle game. So who was he doing?
That would be JJ Watt.
Yeah.
So you heard of him?
I think he said,
a coworker of yours.
It's not a good day to be someone who thinks Justin Fields can't pass or something like that. He had a great day, and he was started in 19% of leagues, and he'll get Buffalo next week. He's been a very up and down guy in his career, week by week. So let's hope he can string it together. And I'll say, I brought up that when DJ Moore had his big week or big year with Justin Fields, he had a lot of long touchdowns. And that has been something that has really eluded Garrett Wilson in his career. He's been very bad at making explosive plays. And then I watched all the throws of 20 or more air yards last year for Garrett Wilson, and I thought Aaron Rodgers was largely responsible for it. So it is very nice to see them hook up on like a 35-ish yard touchdown, whatever it was. Sorry, I don't remember the yardage, but big 33. Play for Garrett Wilson.
It was a great throw and a great play.
Yeah, so Fields, 19% started. Garrett Wilson was much more started than that. 62%. So people had that production on their bench. All right, we love the Jets offense. Are we buying into it? We're still, let's see how it goes for another week before we
can we see the Bills defense tonight?
Yeah, okay, we can see that. All right, so Egbuka, Fields, we'll call Garrett Wilson a winner. Biggest loser, Heath, got that?
How about most surprising to be called a loser?
Okay,
most surprising.
It was great that Alvin Kamara scored a touchdown. My biggest fear about Kellen Moore looked entirely true in this game. 46 pass attempts for Spencer Rattler, and Alvin Kamara had 2 targets, and they had multiple chasing the score in the fourth quarter drives when defenses drop back and play defense or play prevent, and Kamara generally will have like 3 catches a drive on those. He had 1 on the 2 drives combined. He wasn't even like dominating the rush attempts. Kendre Miller and Devin Neal had 7 to his 11. He scored a touchdown. That was really the only good thing about Alvin Kamara's day. And I'm a little bit worried. And part of the problem was, credit to Kellen Moore, he runs a pretty good offense at getting the ball out quick to wide receivers. He has guys open early in the routes, and you don't have to just dump it off to Kamara because nobody's open. But that's a big problem for Alvin Kamara moving forward. So yes, 13 PPR fantasy points. It's fine. Probably about the same as Kyron Williams, but I'm scared.
Yeah, I thought about that when I saw his targets. I was like, damn, this could be an amazing call by Heath. He did play, the vast majority of the snaps, which is good. But how about, would you rather have Alvin Kamara or Breece Hall right now?
Breece Hall.
I think I'm still going to say Kamara, and I'm going to hope that this game was an outlier.
Because Breece Hall, 19 carries, 2 catches against Pittsburgh. He had 145 total yards, but did he have more catches than that? Do I have that wrong? I thought he had more catches.
Well, I think he only had 2, but 2 catches on 25 pass attempts is a little different than 2 on 46.
Yeah. He had 4 targets, and we welcome Jamey in as well. But he did not have the goal line role. It was a little bit mixed in there, but Braylon Allen was definitely the primary guy near the goal line. But Breece Hall with a good start.
Well,
hey, Jamey.
Hey.
Who's a big loser for you?
You for starting early?
No, I didn't start early. Jamey's going to be late. I don't want to say late. In progress.
He's right on time.
Right? Because
I am right on time.
He has to get home.
No, actually today I scheduled, it was tomorrow's my son's birthday, so I went to go out to dinner with him to be here at 8:00 just for you, because that's what the schedule said, and I made it at 8:00, and you started early.
It's really impressive, Jamey.
Yeah, I tried.
Punctual.
We started at 8. Well, happy birthday to your son. That's awesome.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
You got a big loser for us?
I forgot who I sent. You can remind me.
Jerome Ford and Terry McLaurin.
Yeah, Jerome Ford. That sucked.
Yeah, 7 touches, 5
Dylan Sampson's so much better than him.
Dylan Sampson is so much better than him. We'll see what happens next week if Judkins is able to play. But Sampson looked fantastic in the passing game. Look, that's the role that was going to be the most important because they're going to be trailing most games. And this was a competitive game, actually for them. But I think just Sampson hopefully will stay in that role, and Jerome Ford just becomes the third option. But it was a little frustrating that he didn't get the goal line opportunity. It was a little frustrating that he wasn't involved really more than just a token player in this outing.
He led the Browns in snaps, played 52% of the snaps. You were probably looking for a higher number than that. He also had 11 of 16 snaps on third downs. He had 3 of 5 snaps inside the 5. He just didn't have the goal line carries. He gave you most of what you were looking for in terms of role. It's just what ended up happening in the game was Dylan Sampson was getting schemed up for targets on some third downs, but also some non-third downs. And it just worked out where he had 8 catches. It was kind of a lucky break for anybody that started Sampson. Not that there were many people who did that.
Well, Sampson also outcarried him 2-1.
Sampson had 12 carries. So Ford actually did have 2 goal line carries. He didn't get in. And then the next 2 went to who the heck scored?
Raheem Sanders, Rocket Sanders.
Yeah, who scored a touchdown. And so I mean Ford is the least interesting of them now, right? Of the 3.
By far.
Yeah. So you
maybe of the 4.
Yeah, you probably dropped Jerome Ford, who is 81% rostered. Sampson had 8 catches only one of them on third down. He played only 4 third down snaps. So obviously we'll see if Judkins, I think it seems like they're leaning toward Judkins going to be playing next week at Baltimore.
Against Baltimore. So I don't know if we want to start
eligible to play. Eligible to play.
I think if I had to start one of them, I'd probably start Sampson over Judkins next week if he plays.
Sure.
I would as well.
All right. I want to nominate a loser because I feel like I need to talk about him. And I'm sure we've all been there before. You feel good about a player. You recommend him to everyone you know. And then he's Isaiah Pacheco, and he has 7 touches and 4.8 PPR fantasy points. Sinking feeling, legitimately. Not even being funny here. Just feel horrible about it because I don't think it was just one bad game. I think this is going to end up being a horrible call. He'll obviously be better than this.
Wait a minute. Are you going back to we're talking about Pacheco again?
I haven't talked about him once.
No.
You talked about him this morning.
That is like 30 seconds.
Yeah. That audience, different show.
Everybody wants to hear this.
No, I'm serious. I mean, I think he's one of the biggest losers of the week because there were a lot of guys who had really bad games. I'm not worried about Nico Collins necessarily. I'm not worried about Brian Thomas Jr. I'm worried about Isaiah Pacheco. I think first 2 possessions, he comes off the field on second down. Obviously, Kareem Hunt's got his role. This was really bad. So.
I would like to see what the game plan is moving forward because the receiving core is now decimated. So are we back to what we had last year where it was supposed to be Pacheco early in the season, being their lead guy, and they're going to have to rely on their run game a little bit more, especially that their defense doesn't look as good. So I wouldn't necessarily say you're not starting him next week, but I wouldn't say he's somebody that you're dropping.
I think
week 3 against the Giants.
If you want to feel better, Pacheco's percentages of touches were pretty similar to what I had, but I was much higher on him than where he finished because they're not going to have 11, 10 running back touches, carries in a game very often. They'll probably have 20 most weeks, and then he'll have 10 carries.
They didn't lead at any point in the game, so will they have they're not going to be that bad.
No. Well, I hope not. All right.
They might be.
It is time for football at BetMGM. Register with BetMGM to get instant access to the best variety of parlay selection features, no sweat and boost tokens, live betting options, and much more. New players can receive up to $1,500 back in bonus bets with bonus code FANTASY if they don't win their first bet. You don't want to miss out on any of the hard-hitting action on BetMGM. Place your money line, parlay bets, and more today. BetMGM, make it legendary. Promo code again is FANTASY on BetMGM. Well, Heath, Mike, the Drake Maye, Heath is dissing Drake Maye.
You know what? Mike was 100% right. I was completely wrong about Drake Maye this week.
Me too.
Yeah, I mean, Justin Fields round 1 over Drake Maye. It's the winner. Drake Maye disappointing today, guys, but some encouraging stuff. I mean, he made some really nice throws. How are we feeling about Drake Maye at Miami next week?
Start of the week again.
There's
the worst part about him was he had a 17% off target rate. That's pretty bad.
I'm glad you had the stats because what I would say is I watched a lot of him throwing the ball, and there were some that looked like, man, he's going to be a great NFL quarterback, and then he just mixes in like a couple of drive, it seems like. There's like, how is he throwing the ball 4 yards off target?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
And I don't think his
a lot of
receivers are very
downfield
good.
throws. He wasn't even pressured that much. 30% pressure rate against him.
Did you guys think Diggs looked good?
No.
I didn't see enough to make a call on that.
Diggs, I feel like, didn't play that much.
I'll look it up.
He ran, I had him at 16 routes and a 44% target per route run rate, which would be record setting. But you confirm that
25 routes.
25 routes. Yeah, I'm telling you, I can't look at this stuff right when the game ends. It's never updated. But 25 routes isn't that much considering Drake Maye threw 46 passes,
right.
I think, in the game.
Yeah. Kayshon Boutte led the Patriots in routes run.
All right, so they were easing Stephon Diggs in. We're going to take a break in a second here. Tomorrow we have our Monday Beyond the Box Score episode with me, Jacob Gibbs, and Dan Schneier. That's at noon Eastern. Tuesday and Thursday every week.
Or 11:45.
Well done.
We never start the show at 8.
Don't schedule it then.
Tuesdays and Thursdays, CBS Sports Network at 1 p.m. Eastern. Join us there, CBS Sports Network, 1 p.m. Eastern on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Waiver Wire on Tuesdays, rankings on Thursdays. We'll be right back with the news and notes. Who's going to be the Giants quarterback next week? tell you. Well, we won't really tell you, but we'll talk about it after this. All right. I saw on Twitter some Giants beat writer saying that Brian Daboll had the opportunity to say that Russell Wilson was going to start next week and just didn't. So we'll see how this situation unfolds.
It wasn't somebody on Twitter. It was Brian Daboll.
Well, I didn't hear it.
Yeah, I heard it. He said it.
I'm just not seeing any major headlines but I guess that those might be
one of the Rappaport or Schefter already said it.
Okay. I guess it's
I think we know the problem now. At least we've learned that the problem with the Giants over the last 5 years has not been Daniel Jones.
It's Andrew Thomas. It's the whole thing. They're at Dallas next week. One of the easiest games on their schedule.
They should start Dart and just see what he can do against that defense.
You cannot start Dart until Thomas is okay.
Yeah, I agree.
That's fair.
Thomas Schaefer. Running back news. Josh Jacobs has scored a touchdown in 9 consecutive games, and luckily I don't think we have any other running back news. Wide receiver news. Puka Nacua was evaluated for a concussion, but he returned. But Juwan Jennings left in the fourth quarter. He did not return. Xavier Worthy dislocated his shoulder. We don't have a timetable on this, do we?
I would guess that they haven't addressed the media yet, right? Since going to Brazil.
The speculation I've seen is 4 to 17 weeks.
Did you see the NFL memes account that when Taylor Swift was on the podcast and she said she went crazy for Xavier Worthy and Travis Kelce knocked him out.
Jalen Waddle left, but he returned. Chris Olave left, but he returned. George Kittle left, but did not return. So the 49ers are back to being the Niners. They somehow won this game because Tariq Woolen could not judge 2 balls that were in the air and let them both be catches. But George Kittle left with a hamstring injury, and Juwan Jennings left. So they're at New Orleans next week.
I'd be very surprised if Kittle plays next week.
Yeah. Evan Ingram limped off. Brock Bowers.
The line of scrimmage.
Brock Bowers says he's fine. They got the Chargers next week. Big game there. A couple of 1-0 teams. A lot of offensive line injuries.
You missed Drake London, right? Or you said it already?
No, I didn't. He got hurt.
Yep.
Drake London got hurt. According to one of those insiders, he's day to day. Ian Rapport, London suffered a shoulder. It was the play where he almost had the touchdown at the end of the game. Day to day, as of now, he'll have more tests, but initial good news on Atlanta Star, who was ruled out earlier today.
And Brock Bowers is fine, right?
Yeah,
he said he was fine after the game.
The offensive line, I'll go through it tomorrow. Won't waste our time. And the same with defense. All right. Early waiver wire. Who's jumping out at you guys? Early waiver wire candidates.
I mean, there's so many wide receivers. Marquise Brown's got to be number 1.
Not Quentin Johnston?
I'd put him number 2.
I'd put Keenan number 2. Johnston after him.
Actually, I do have Keenan ahead of Johnson. I forgot Keenan was that low rostered.
Keenan Allen is 60% rostered. Quentin Johnston, 36%. Marquise Brown, I think, is barely rostered. He's where are you, Marquise Brown? Whatever. I can't find it, but he's not that rostered. Okay.
And then there's just every tight end.
Yeah, right.
In the world.
Juwan Johnson.
I mean, look, some of them put up big numbers, some of them did not, but like Brenton Strange in the beginning of the game was just every target from Trevor Lawrence. Hunter Henry had a good game.
Harold Fannin.
Yeah, Fannin. Yeah, obviously that's what I was thinking.
Thanks a lot, Heath.
Yeah, Heath manifested it.
Yep,
he manifested winning the lottery.
I could have just manifested Brock Bowers playing 4 quarters, so he could have scored 20 fantasy points.
Yeah. But yeah, it's Hollywood Brown's got to be number 1.
And Dylan Sampson, I think, will be up there. He's 64% rostered, so we'll see. But no, when I give roster percentages, by the way, those are in CBS leagues. CBS, most leagues are 12. Most of our leagues are 12-team leagues. It's the default. Yahoo, ESPN, going to find a lot more 10-team leagues. So a guy like Dylan Sampson, I wouldn't be surprised if he's 30% rostered on other websites.
Don't go add Daniel Jones.
No?
They play the Broncos next week.
And at Tennessee, at the Rams, it gets a lot harder. But he scored 31.5 fantasy points against
He was good.
He was.
I think the Dolphins are the worst team in the NFL.
They might be.
It's bad.
I was funny. I was listening to Fox Sports Radio while I was racing here to get here on time, and I was delayed. And Adam Kaplan, who does a great job for them, covers the NFL, was saying, and I just thought of Adam, and it's not your fault, Adam, because we all have made stupid calls like this. But he said, I can't imagine anybody picking the Dolphins to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
And this is a lower priority. Like everybody else goes and gets their guys, and you miss them. Make sure Trey Benson's rostered. He was very good today, and James Conner is old and has an injury history.
Yeah, I would say the same with Kendra Miller. Not that he was good, but
right.
Yeah. Okay. So waiver wire shows on Tuesday. Let's get to our big winners here.
I believe, though, for looking for waiver wire advice, I don't know who's going to do it with me, but Thomas has me doing an express episode tomorrow.
That's right. Yeah, we'll be doing that. One of us will be doing that with Jamey. I'll be there early, Jamey. Breece Hall.
No, you won't. This is the only show you're ever early for.
Breece Hall is one of Jamey's winners, and Michael Pittman. So what do you make it like Breece Hall not getting the goal line work? What is that?
So look, he looked awesome. There's no doubt about it. He looked absolutely fantastic. And at the same time, this was my fear for him was could he potentially be a little bit of a trap back? Because the 2 catches for 38 yards is great. If that's 2 for 10, it's a different conversation. And losing the goal line opportunity. And I did like the fact that last time they were down at the goal line, the Justin Fields touchdown run, it was Breece Hall, I think, for almost every snap. So I was hoping actually he was going to get an end zone opportunity there. And everybody thinks I hate Breece Hall. I don't. I'd rather see him succeed. But just the way that he ran was absolutely fantastic. Losing Elijah Vera-Tucker, playing the Steelers, like this was, and getting 21 total touches. Like this was as good as you could possibly hope for, aside from losing the touchdown run to, Braylon Allen. Allen did not look great in his opportunities. And it was really never about Allen ever being better than Breece Hall. I hope nobody took that from what I was saying. It never was Allen was going to look better, run better, be a better running back than Braylon Allen. It was just about would he take away opportunities? Would he get those goal line opportunities? And then the reason I like Braylon Allen was, could there be a chance of a Breece Hall injury? Would he step into that role? So great for Breece Hall. I think he has a chance to be a solid number 2 running back with the potential to be still a top 10 guy. But if he's not going to get goal line opportunities and only live in that 2 to 3 catch range, it's not going to be as good maybe as he could be based on the way that he looks.
I will just say, and I was just looking at this today because I was wondering, like, he did this against the Steelers, and who knows, maybe we'll find out the Steelers defense isn't as good as we thought or just had a bad day. But they finished the season, the fantasy season, Falcons, Dolphins, Jags, Saints, Patriots.
Oh boy.
If he's healthy at the end of the year, he might just be the league winning running back.
And even if he's not, whoever that running back is could be. So that's really intriguing. That's a good call. I thought the Steelers defense looked terrible until very late in the game. They looked old.
I don't know how they won. It was wild that the Jets lost that game.
They scored more points.
Aaron Rodgers' revenge game was better than Justin Fields' revenge game.
I guess so. Michael, it was really the fumble on the kickoff that changed everything. Michael Pittman, 6 catches for 80 yards and a touchdown. I think we should talk in general about the Colts. I mean, Josh Downs had a bad game, but they come out and just light up the Dolphins. They said on Red Zone, I think they said that this was the first quarterback they've seen or that they've been able to find since like 1991 or something that scored on every single possession. Unbelievable. So do we buy this? Like, how much, Jamey, are we buying this Colts explosion headlined by, I guess you can say Michael Pittman's your winner, but Jones and Pittman?
I was going to say Tyler Warren. I thought Dave was going to take him, so I didn't want to, give him the opportunity to tout the guy that he was so high on. I think for both those guys, just the way that they came out and performed, I still think Josh Downs is going to have a pretty significant role. And how much of this was the hamstring layover, missing practice time, prior to the start of the season? But if you were in the Pittman camp and in the Tyler Warren camp, this was exactly what you wanted to see. You wanted to see 2 guys step forward and have the chance to be the focal point of the offense. You wanted to see them take advantage of a great matchup, and you wanted to see them put up great fantasy production. And so, look, Warren was being drafted as a starter, whether he was top 6, 7, 8, or 10, 11, 12. He was being drafted as a low-end number 1 tight end, and you were thrilled with the production. For Pittman, it was, can he get back to being any semblance of a decent fantasy option? Can he be better than Josh Downs? Can he be a viable guy that you can use? And I think this game proved that. Last year he had the back injury. He struggled with Anthony Richardson. His numbers were better, not by much, but with Joe Flacco. And so Daniel Jones being there, I think is going to be a good thing for Michael Pittman. Heath mentioned it. Next week, they get the Broncos. This is most likely where Patrick Surtain goes. You're not going to want to start Michael Pittman. But I think you're going to be pretty happy rostering Michael Pittman at this point. And when they do have favorable matchups, he can have not necessarily these highs, but number 3 quality production. And I think it's a good thing that they came out and they played the way that they did from a passing game perspective, because a lot of questions, obviously, and clearly the Colts made the right call, at least for 1 week.
Okay. Dave, your winners are Justin Fields, who we talked about, and Emeka Egbuka, who we talked about.
Happy to contribute to the show.
Anything else you want to say about Fields and Egbuka?
No. I don't want to say, well, I need to see this again from Justin Fields. I thought he played great. I mentioned earlier what Drake May's off-target rate was. Justin Fields' off-target rate was 0.0.
Nice.
So,
Heath.
Fast, accurate, and smooth is a good way to go through life, son. And he lived it today. And unless we learn, and we really learn that the Steelers' defense is a shell of itself, then there's definite optimism that Justin Fields could be a good quarterback in fantasy.
Heath's winners, couple of rookies, Jacory, Croskey-Merritt, 10 carries for 82 yards and a touchdown. No catches, 1 target against the Giants. Started in 22% of leagues. Harold Fannin, 5% rostered, 7 catches for 63 yards on 9 targets against the Bengals.
Led the Browns in targets, second in receptions, third in receiving yards. And maybe the big takeaway is that it just looks like a big problem for David Njoku, because a couple of the layups that used to go to Njoku did not go there this game. He also made a big play that should have led to the game-winning drive if they had a kicker. And I just think when a team comes out and features a rookie like this in the very first game of the season, even when you look at it and you say, well, it's the Browns and they've already got David Njoku, you can't leave that guy on the waiver wire just in case, especially considering that he just completely destroyed college football, even at a lower level the year before. So great showing from Harold Fannin. No, I will not sell him high in Dynasty yet. And then Bill, I was skeptical. I did tell people don't drop them based on a preseason depth chart. I think hopefully we've learned those don't mean anything. But when a rookie averages 8.2 yards per carry on 10 carries, I mostly expect him to get more carries next week. Chris Rodriguez was inactive. That was great for him. He looked very good as a runner.
Tell me if this is a Commander stat or a Giant stat. Bill averaged 4 yards before contact per run.
I honestly don't know. I mean, I would say that watching that game, the line of scrimmage was so one-sided. The Commanders just dominated that game. In fact, there was a point, if you're looking at Tyrone Tracy's stat line, which is horrible, Tyrone Tracy was 10 carries for 24 yards. Late in the third quarter, early in the fourth quarter, they said on the broadcast that the Giants had either 1 yard before contact gained. I mean, that's insane.
It's terrible.
That just tells you they got absolutely whooped up front. So the Commanders, I mentioned this when we did the preview, that they changed their defensive tackles. They got bigger. They were small at defensive tackle last year, and they stunk against the run. So during the offseason, they really made it a point to get bigger at defensive tackle. And at least in this one game against the Giants, it worked. Tracy and Scottaboo were miserable.
I cannot wait. I mean, you can go ahead and play the game of the week music right now, Adam.
Washington Green Bay.
Commanders Packers next week. I cannot wait.
Look what they just did against the Lions.
Yeah, I am a little bit nervous about how the Commanders' run game will be against the Packers.
But that's fine.
That might be a game Jane Daniels has to do his thing. Hey, the 42-yard run. This is just where I want to wrap it up on Bill. 42-yard run. 18 of the yards came before contact. And then he had a 12-yard run. 10 of the yards came before contact. I think that he's going to earn more work without question. I think he's a huge winner.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go to Heath's losers now. We'll go to all of our losers. We'll start with Heath's. Ken Walker, who was out-carried by Zach Charbonnet and out-produced by Zach Charbonnet, and Alvin Kamara, who you already talked about. But Walker goes for 10 carries for 20 yards, 3 catches, which was good. Charbonnet, 12 carries, 47 yards, and a touchdown against the Niners.
Walker did at least catch 3 passes for 4 yards. It was absolutely awful. And it wasn't like he was so bad early that they just decided to go to Charbonnet. Like, they were mixing and matching from the very start, and Charbonnet was just better than him in this game. So
Walker
I think
didn't look like himself.
Not at all. So maybe he's not healthy still, and he just tried to push through. But I think you have to go into next week expecting Zach Charbonnet to be the best running back for the Seahawks.
You want the snap breakdown, Adam?
Sure.
Charbonnet played 58% of the snaps to Walker's 40%. This is where it really goes sideways for Walker. Third downs, 8 of 10 for Charbonnet. Inside the 5, 2 snaps, both to Charbonnet. And he looked better again.
Third down, I knew. Inside the 5 is, discouraging.
It's not surprising because Charbonnet goes forward and Walker goes side to side.
Yeah. Dave's losers, RJ Harvey. He did have a 50-yard run, but still 6 carries. Dobbins had 16 and only 1 catch for Harvey. He was 57% rostered. And then there's Drake Maye, who gets Miami next week, and then Pittsburgh, and then Carolina. But how about RJ Harvey?
31% of the snaps. Dobbins, 52% of the snaps. How about this? Tyler Bidet, 17% of the snaps, including 6 of 13 on third down, and was their 2-minute running back. A 3-way split in Denver, and Bidet is one of the running backs. It's not what we were hoping for. We got really lucky that we even had that long run by RJ Harvey. He also looks weird with 12 as his jersey number. You're not used to running backs having the teens or preteens in this case as their jersey number. But I thought Dobbins looked good, and I don't think he's done anything to lose any semblance of his playing time moving forward. So this is going to be an annoying timeshare where you hope you start the right Broncos running back from week to week.
I think, look, the rookie running backs in general, we should address, not Genty. Hampton had an amazing role. I guess it's really just Harvey and Henderson right now because Judkins is
Henderson's snap share was not good either.
So it's those 2 guys. And then obviously you got Caleb Johnson, who's not a factor right now. He fumbled. He had like 2 touches and fumbled. But, on this morning's show, I said that over the last 10 years, I've only got 3 running backs who were drafted in round 2 in the NFL draft and got big work in week 1. And I think one of them owes that to an injury. So it was TJ Yeldon and Dalvin Cook. And the third one was Jonathan Taylor. Remember, Marlon Mack got hurt. I think it was Mack, right? Got hurt in week 1. Was it someone else? So, that just doesn't happen unless it's a first-round rookie. So, I don't know. What are your guys' thoughts? What are your thoughts on Harvey and Henderson right now?
100% you're going to wait on them. If you've got another running back that you could start in place of them, maybe look, they both have mostly favorable matchups next week. I'm not buying the Colts run defense as anything tough, but I'd be more inclined to start Henderson than Harvey because Henderson's playing against the Dolphins.
I agree with Jamey. Buy low.
Henderson at least had 6 catches. He had, Ramondre Stevenson, 7 carries for 15 yards. Henderson, 5 carries for 27 yards. Feels like kind of maybe inevitable there. Jamey, your losers were Jerome Ford and Terry McLaurin. The only thing I'll say about McLaurin, a little bit of bad luck. He had a clear catch that for some reason wasn't overturned. They called it incomplete and it wasn't overturned. But he also should have had a 71-yard touchdown. Jaden Daniels just missed him. With that said, only 4 targets. Those were 2 of the 4 targets in the game, and clearly outperformed by Deebo Samuel. So bad start for McLaurin.
You have another guy that he's got to compete with. That's a pretty talented dude in Deebo Samuel. So this was a concern before the contract situation, and it played itself out. And then Zach Ertz gets a touchdown as well, so he's not going away. And now the run game might be better. So I think McLaurin's going to be fine. I think he'll still be a low-end number 2 receiver. But, just piggybacking off of the conversations we had about the draft, like this was not what you wanted to see him come out and do. So hopefully it's not going to be a season-long thing. I think the timing between Jaden Daniels and Terry McLaurin will get better. So, you'll hopefully have a better connection moving forward. But he's a good buy low option, just based on what his role is still and the offense that he plays on. But clearly, for what you were hoping for, this was not what you expected.
How many of the really big underperformers from this week would you, and I'm not talking about, first or second round guys that are so obvious, would you sell Javonte Williams for right now?
Probably almost all of them. I'm giving up Javonte Williams to get one of these underperforming.
To get Pacheco, to get Henderson, to get Harvey, to get McLaurin, to get Calvin Ridley.
All but Pacheco so far.
Yeah.
Pacheco feels like a wash at best.
Okay. And let's take a look at the top 5 players at each position and give our quick thoughts here. At quarterback, big surprises at the top: Aaron Rodgers, Justin Herbert, Justin Fields, Daniel Jones, and then Mahomes and Mayfield. Rodgers, Herbert, Fields, Jones, Mahomes, Mayfield. So how come no one's buying Daniel Jones?
Miami Dolphins.
You got to be excited about Daniel Jones in the super flex or 2 quarterback league. That's first and foremost.
Sure.
You know, so if he's on your bench and you saw him play like this, there was no question that he's not losing the job. And obviously he exceeded expectations by leaps and bounds. But next week's a big test. If he comes out and plays well against the Broncos, then I think you should be buying. And look, if you are in a situation like I know I have one super flex league where 2 was my second quarterback. And if Daniel Jones is the 3rd player on somebody's team, I might try and make a trade just to have a better backup or a better second quarterback moving forward. So, start to compare him to some of the guys who struggled today. Then, the outlook may be a little bit more solid. But he's got good weapons. Like that's always been the case with the Colts. Like this is a team that has 2 solid wide receivers, a tight end that looks like he's going to be a star, a great running back, and hopefully he takes advantage of it. So, dial it back a little bit because of who he played. But this was definitely a great start for him by far.
But
right,
you kind of know who he is, right? Like you're not going to be shocked if he lays an egg next week against Denver.
I forget who I had this conversation with last week, and maybe it was you, Adam. Maybe we were talking about this somewhere about the quarterbacks that went through these car washes.
Yes.
And so he spent time with Kevin O'Connell in Minnesota, and Baker Mayfield spent time with Sean McVay in Los Angeles. And Sam Darnold spent time in San Francisco with Kyle Shanahan. Like, this is a first-round quarterback that got terrible coaching with the Giants and never got a chance, I think, to maybe fix some of his mistakes. And maybe Kevin O'Connell helped him fix his mistakes. And so he's never going to be good to the level of, like,
this every
maybe
week.
Where Sam Darnold was at last year. But he can certainly be competent. And if that's the case, like, okay, I'd like to see where this goes. Am I going to invest heavily in? No, by far no. But he can still make plays with his legs. He obviously took advantage of the guys around him, so it's not horrible.
Anybody care about Aaron Rodgers in his big game?
It was great. He was great.
All right. Okay. Running backs. Well, this is the appeal of Christian McCaffrey in a full PPR league. Now it helps when George Kittle gets hurt on the opening drive or whatever. But 9 catches for 73 yards, 22 carries. So McCaffrey was apparently fine. Didn't do great with the carries. Bijan Robinson, Christian McCaffrey, Javonte Williams, Saquon Barkley, and bam, Travis Etienne. 16 carries, 143 yards, 3 catches, 13 yards. Top 5 running back without a touchdown. And statement for Travis Etienne, guys. He is the number 1 running back. I mean, Bigsby didn't even have a carry in the first half.
Clearly, that was a weird game because we had to wait like an hour in the middle of the second quarter. But no, he had a couple of very impressive runs, and the job is his until he loses it.
That's the best way to put it.
Yeah, Dalton Kincaid with the touchdown. Tight end week. Top 5 wide receivers: Quentin Johnston, Puka Nacua, Emeka Egbuka, Garrett Wilson, and Deebo Samuel. And Michael Pittman is 6th. Jamie, anything to say?
Deebo now.
Yeah, okay, Deebo.
After a huge game.
Start him.
Would you try selling
number 2 receiver? Yeah.
Would you try selling?
Everybody was
Deebo.
I think it depends on where you were. If you didn't think he was very good, then you should definitely sell. If you were way ahead of everybody in terms of how good he's going to be this week, then nobody's going to catch up fast enough.
I mean, look, he's definitely a sell high candidate because McLaurin's going to be better, and he's had an injury track record that's hard to ignore. Mm-hmm. And so if you can get something great for him, you should absolutely be trying to explore that. But you're not giving him up for nothing at this point. Like, there's still a great opportunity for him. He's with a good quarterback. He's going to be featured in this offense. He came out and looked like a dominant force once again. He's in shape. That was the narrative at the start of training camp, which was clearly stupid. So, we'll see where it goes moving forward. But I mean, I'm trying to think like someone you could turn him into.
Could you turn him into George Pickens, who had 6 PPR points?
Yeah,
I would think easily, rather easily.
Yeah, what about Devontae Smith, who had 4.6 PPR points?
I would think rather easily, yeah.
Right, but you may not want
Cooper Kupp, who had 3.5.
No chance.
No, don't do that.
Why would you do that?
But I'm trying to think like if you can aim even higher, like T. Higgins.
I mean, if you could,
I'd be happy to do that.
You're a wizard, Harry.
All right, tight ends, top 5.
Johnny Airport, AJ Brown. Like, could you make some sort of package of Deebo Samuel and something for AJ Brown.
Yeah, start thinking about that. Top 5 tight ends are Juwan Johnson, Brock Bowers, Tyler Warren, Harold Fannin Jr., and Sam Laporta. So obviously Juwan Johnson stands out here. Is anybody buying into this? 8 catches, 76 yards on 11 targets for Juwan Johnson.
He took all Kamara's targets.
Took a lot
It's
of
a new quarterback. It's a new coach. I mean, buying into it, no. But if you need a tight end, why would you not take a chance on it to see what happens next week?
Would you add Juwan Johnson over Harold Fannin?
I would.
I don't think I would.
Yeah,
That's what I need.
I don't think I would.
Well, let's put it this way.
No.
There's a George Kittle manager in every league right now that's looking for a tight end. So, do you want a guy who has closed the last 2 years on a relative high note, and Juwan Johnson, maybe 3 years, or do you want to take a chance on the guy facing Baltimore?
Why don't I give you a third option? This isn't a good option because I'm sure Kyle Pitts is rostered too highly, but Kyle Pitts had a good game.
Well, again, you have Hunter Henry coming off a 4 for 66 game. You got Brenton Strange coming off a 10-point whatever.
Right. There's a bunch of guys that were just okay, but you can go and pick up one of those guys off the waiver wire just as easily. But Juwan Johnson, Harold Fannin, they're going to be more popular because they had bigger games and they had a lot of targets. They both did.
I'm curious to see what happens with the Colston Loveland manager, because even as Jacob Gibbs told us today, and he's as high on him as anybody that at least we've spoken to, that he was rostering 2 tight ends. So if Loveland has a crappy game, and let's say your other tight end wasn't great, are you pivoting from Loveland to Fannin if you're looking for a young tight end with upside?
Well, both Juwan Johnson and Harold Fannin have something else in common. Their quarterbacks threw 45 and 46 passes. So that's a ton of passes. Probably shouldn't expect that, although Joe Flacco seems to throw 40 or more passes every time he takes the field. All right, we're going to take a break and recap every game. We'll be right back on Fantasy Football Today.
Here we go. The 2025 CBS Sports NFL schedule is here. 18 glorious Sundays.
He's got his receiver touchdown.
Filled with rematches.
Oh, the play of the year.
And rivalries.
Touchdown, Bengals.
Plus, plenty of superstar showdowns. And an epic matchup between the Chiefs and Cowboys on Thanksgiving. Clear your Sundays beginning September 7th for the NFL on CBS and Paramount Plus.
Are we doing Believe It or Not this year?
Oh, we can.
I don't care. I'm not writing it, but whatever you want.
Do you want me to do it or you?
No, I think I can do it.
Okay. Yeah, we can.
Do we have to do one for every game?
Yeah.
We just do one whenever it strikes us.
Why don't we just do one for every game, Dave? Because I don't think I want people just throwing out Believe It or Not every now, like every so often. Just real quick on the goal line work. Mentioned that Braylon Allen got mixed in at the goal line. Cam Scadaboo was used at the goal line. Ramondre Stevenson was used at the goal line. And Zach Charbonnet was used at the goal line. Almost touchdowns that I noticed. Drake London nearly had one. That's where he got hurt. He had consecutive end zone targets at the end of that game. McLaurin should have had a long touchdown. Ricky Pearsall nearly had a touchdown, but Reek Woolen knocked it away. All right, to the games. Go to Friday night. Chargers 27, Chiefs 21. Got to Believe It or Not for that one.
I thought you had Cowboys, Eagles at the start of the list, so I was expecting that one. So,
yes.
Well, we talked about Isiah Pacheco. Now, believe it or not, Hollywood Brown's a top 18 wide receiver until one of the other Chiefs wide receivers gets back.
I had him 19, damn.
Yep. Top 18 feels like must start.
I think he's a must start. Yeah. I don't know if I'm going to have him top 18, but I might.
He's definitely in PPR. He's the new Wan'Dale Robinson.
Right.
Believe it or not, the Chiefs are going to start 2-4.
Chiefs are going to start 2-4.
That's my prediction.
They play the Eagles, then the Giants, so they're 0-3. Then they get the Ravens, they're 0-4, and then they beat the Jaguars and the Lions. Okay, cool. We're on the same page.
Taylor Swift still do the halftime show if the Chiefs are not there?
Oh, they're going to finish 12-5. They'll start 2-4.
I think what was really interesting in this game is that the Chargers were a more pass-heavy team just based on drop passes than what we saw last year. They threw 34 passes, but this is a stat I brought up with Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts had a very high drop back rate in week 1 compared to last year. Justin Herbert had a 73.2% true drop back rate. His drop back rate in 2024 was 57.2%. So we want to see them throwing the football. That'd be great. Are you worried about Ladd McConkey?
No. It was a combination of those things, right? Like he had more competition than we thought he did, but they had a higher drop back rate than we thought he did. So if both those things stay the same, he's fine. Now, if the passes go down and the target competition stays the same, he's in trouble.
Yeah.
I think he's in a little trouble based on where we were drafting him and what the expectation was.
Yeah. He was open for a touchdown. He kind of ran like a weird route on the play, but he could have had a touchdown. All right. And I guess the last thing I'll say just about that whole target, that drop back rate, the highest drop back rate of the season last year for Justin Herbert was week 1. It was over 80%. And then went way down after that. But hopefully they stick with this approach. Okay, Heath. Jacksonville 26, Carolina 10.
Wow, what a game. Believe it or not, Travis Hunter is Wan'Dale Robinson. Did you see how like everything was 5 yards from the line of scrimmage and just fall down?
Trevor Lawrence had him for a wide open touchdown when he threw the pick to Jason.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So Hunter had 8 targets. I mean, I think, how about believe it or not, Travis Hunter is a big problem for Brian Thomas Jr., who had 1 catch for 11 yards on 7 targets.
More concerned about Thomas at the 1-2 turn than McConkey in round 3.
I think we're getting a shootout next week for the Jags and the Bengals. I wouldn't worry about them.
But what about after that? I mean, are you worried about Hunter eating into Brian Thomas's role in a significant way?
No.
Okay. Okay. Believe it or not, no. Well, believe it or not, we're definitely starting Tedero McMillan next week at Arizona.
Believe it.
Believe it.
Is Trevor part of the problem here?
He needs Mac Jones?
I don't know if that's the answer, but it's another game where Lawrence wasn't perfect. 16% off target rate. ADOT was 7.2. That comes with the territory when you're going to throw short to Travis Hunter 8 times. 61% completion rate. I don't know. I'm not sure if he will make his receivers better. He did have 3 drops from his pass catchers.
Okay. Definitely be a fun game to watch the tape on. Next up, Arizona 20, New Orleans 12.
Believe it or not, despite their lines in this game, Chris Olave is going to be better than Marvin Harrison. Harrison had the exact same role.
Did he?
6 targets. Well, 6 targets, scores, has a long catch downfield, scores a touchdown.
This is definitely a guy that we're going to talk about on Beyond the Box Score because, Jacob talked about how the Cowboys on Thursday used a lot more horizontal routes than vertical compared to last year, which is a good thing. We want horizontal routes are better for fantasy.
He did score on a horizontal route, but they were at the 5-yard line, so he couldn't run as vertical as he normally does.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't have the data yet. We haven't watched the tape yet. So
I was encouraged.
Well, what data do you want? His ADOT was 12.7.
Okay, but what kind of routes was he running? Was he running different routes in this game?
Give me a second.
Okay. And that's somebody I'm going to watch all of his routes and see what we think. Now, again, preseason, what went wrong with Kyler Murray last year compared to his best years? Lack of deep completions. DeAndre Hopkins used to give that to him. Marvin Harrison was horrible in that. So the fact that they connected on a 50-yard pass or whatever it was great, very encouraging, but don't know if that's going to be able to keep up. But it was great against, a terrible team.
4 of his targets were from 11 yards or closer, 11 air yards or closer.
Okay. Well, that doesn't
I think it's improvement. I think it's a step in the right direction for what we want to see happen to his role. I don't have his routes.
Okay. So we'll figure it out. But yeah, so what do you think? I mean, you think Olave is that close to Marvin Harrison?
Not with this quarterback.
Yeah. And even if when they change quarterbacks, I feel like we got the whole Olave experience where he got a ton of targets, left the game for a little bit, came back in, caught half the targets that he had, or about half, 7 of 13, I think was the number. And he underwhelmed. He's been doing that he definitely did a lot of that for last year.
I just made a very weird sound with my lip. If anybody heard that, I swear it was my lip. Okay, next game. Cincinnati 17, Cleveland 16.
I mean, who took Jamar Chase number 1? Wow, that's terrible.
Believe it or not, the Bengals will be fine. They just do this every year.
Usually they lose these games, though.
Right.
So they're not going to learn anything from it because they won? Maybe.
No. I'm just saying, like, usually this is what happened to them last year. They got smacked in the face by the Patriots.
They tried to lose this game. The Browns just would not allow it.
Right.
Believe it or not, Jerry Jeudy's got too much target competition to be great for fantasy.
He was bad today. But what do you have, 9 targets and 8 targets, and his first 2 targets were nullified by pass interference penalties. So he does if Joe Flacco loses the job.
Right. This whole ship sinks if Flacco isn't under center.
All right. So if you have Njoku, are you at least picking up another tight end? Are you that worried?
Yeah, Fannin.
I would pick up a second tight end. Somebody asked if they should drop him. I would not drop him.
All right.
Not yet.
Las Vegas 20. Oh, by the way, Chase Brown.
Noah Fant. He's the Bengals' best pass catcher.
Chase Brown got every running back carry for the Bengals. I'd like to see him do a little bit better with them. 21 carries for 43.
He's tired.
Yeah.
I saw some people when he scored the touchdown early, fantasy Twitter. He should have been drafted higher, and he was too low. He should have been a first round pick. And then talk about mush.
Yeah, no kidding.
Are you selling high?
Okay.
Selling high at Chase Brown?
Yeah.
No.
Okay, I thought that's where you were going with that.
No.
All right, here we go. Las Vegas 20, New England 13.
How about the what did anybody ever do the Bengals stack? That didn't go well this week.
Yes, someone did. So a couple of people emailed us and said they got all 4 of them. All right, Heath, what do we got for Raiders-Patriots?
Believe it or not, Chip Kelly is going to run one of the most pass-heavy offenses in the NFL. They had 38 dropbacks, 24 rush attempts, and 6 of their last 7 plays were rushes in a game that was never more than like a 1-score game.
I don't believe it.
I don't either.
I do.
Well, it's not bad,
This is in crappy weather on the road.
Fair point.
Well, the big story here, I think, from fantasy is, unless you want to talk about Genty, 19 carries for 38 yards and a touchdown. But also Jacoby Myers had a really nice day.
I mean, look, everything worked out well for Jacoby Myers the last week. Amari Cooper retired, and Geno Smith was looking for him again and again and again.
We already said be patient with Travion Henderson. He's going to be the guy. We really.
What was Myers at when Bowers went out?
I'm not sure.
I can try and find it.
I think he had like 6 catches early. Not early.
Did he? Okay.
Yeah, just look for the first 3 quarters, I guess. What do we think about Kayshon Boutte?
He's got an awesome last name.
He does, but he had a good offseason, good training camp. 8 targets, 103 yards for Kayshon Boutte. He is widely available, barely rostered.
Definitely an added 14-team leagues, and probably going to be a good pickup in 12-team leagues, depending on what your rosters look like, but not anybody I would spend heavy fab on.
Believe it or not, Demario Douglas is the first wide receiver in NFL history to have 7 targets, negative receiving yards, and a touchdown.
That was ridiculous.
I would almost guarantee that's true. It has to be true. Oh, man. Would you rather have Douglas, 36% rostered, or Boutte?
Here's the problem. Like, I'm not ready to buy Boutte, but at the same time, we know he plays Miami next week. I don't think Drake Maye is going to throw the ball 46 times very often.
I'm just asking, who would you rather have, Douglas or Boutte?
I think I'd rather still have Demario.
Still Douglas.
Okay.
I would. I'm probably not adding either one of them this week with everybody that's on the waiver wire.
All right, Colts and Dolphins. Colts 33, Dolphins 8. Let's get a believe it or not here for the Dolphins.
I think we've already said it. Believe it or not, the Dolphins are the worst team in the NFL.
I'm not going to believe it yet. This is pathetic, though.
Maybe the Saints are worse. But
so what happened? Well, I mean, we could speculate, but this would take a few minutes of the show. But I was going to say, when Mike McDaniel gets fired. But I mean, what are we thinking right now about Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle? Achane at least got his touchdown, but geez, horrible days.
We're back to
Horrible
where we were a
day.
year ago.
Yeah.
The only thing is, like, we've been talking about how the Patriots get the Dolphins next week. The Dolphins get the defense to just let Geno Smith throw for 360 yards.
Right.
So I probably will give Tyreek and Waddle another chance next week.
Is it a
I think if you Tyreek is now a number 3 receiver and Waddle back to being a low end number 4 receiver.
Okay.
Did you say Tyreek was what?
A number 3 receiver.
Wow.
A number 3 receiver.
Wow.
Well, where were we a year ago when we went through this struggle with him at the end of the season? Who did you bench him for in the playoffs?
Well, when I benched him for Dontavian Wicks, that was because he didn't have Tua. He was playing with Tyler Huntley.
That's fair.
Also, I think, like, hopefully the turnovers don't happen again, but I think the Dolphins ran like 46 offensive plays.
46 plays. Yep.
21 minutes of time with
Their
the ball.
offensive line is horrible.
Yeah.
And they lost
Tua
Austin
was
Jackson.
terrible. Like, the whole thing was a mess. You've got to give him a chance to regroup next week.
Who gets fired first, Mike McDaniel or Billy Napier?
McDaniel.
Yeah.
Washington 21, Giants 6. What do we got?
Believe it or not, Jackson Dart's starting next week.
I'm gonna
And
say
it's better. Do we think Jackson Dart fixes what went wrong today, Adam?
no. I think Andrew Thomas would have made a big difference, but you could see that after like a half of just constant pressure, Russell Wilson was feeling it even when it wasn't there.
Yep.
So really we should talk about Neighbors here, right? So he goes, look, not a terrible game. 5 catches, 71 yards, caught a deep ball, 12 targets. But I just think overall you got to be worried about him being on this offense. So
he was like the 3rd best round 1 wide receiver. They all suck.
if you were drafting today, you'd still take Neighbors in the first round.
Yes.
We're going to take Nico or Brian Thomas over him?
Yes.
I am.
I
I
would.
would take Nico over him. I would take him over Brian Thomas, though.
Puka?
That's fair. I would take Nico.
I think you'd run right back to Puka after 1 week.
Yeah, I love Sean McVay using Matthew Stafford on to tush push. That was great.
Right. That was ridiculous.
Yeah, that was interesting. No, I mean,
That's such a great line.
but believe it or not, Dan hasn't updated his fridge.
I bet he's probably denial.
Oh, right, because he's supposed to update it with the Giants record. Oh yeah. What do you think about Eckler? Is he worth? Is he a must roster player?
Yes.
Okay,
I thought he looked great in the first half and then became Mr. Invisible in the second half.
Let's see what happens when they're chasing points next week against the Packers.
Yeah, you don't use that guy in a game. You can't use your 30-plus-year-old running back in a game that you had won when you pulled him in the parking lot.
Yep.
I mean, let's not assume they're going to be chasing points next week against the Packers.
No, but it could be a high-scoring game. I don't
Packers
think
are really good,
one where
man.
they're running 30 times.
Commanders look great today. I understand.
Commanders beat a JV team.
I understand, but they look great. Jaden Daniels, he didn't have a great fantasy day. He was unbelievably good today. There were some drops.
Did you see what the Packers defense just did?
What's the line?
The Lions.
What's the spread? Somebody find it.
It's in Green Bay.
It is in Green Bay.
I'm gonna say
Packers -2.
4.5.
3.5, maybe.
4.5.
There's got to be a line out there. We can find it. All right, Tampa Bay 23, Atlanta 20.
It's -3.
Okay.
Packers.
All right. I think it's a good.
I don't know how much those get updated on Sunday. I think that was and maybe that is updated, but that's what it was last week. Also, was
That was the look headline.
Packers.
If it's on a website for a sports book, it's been updated.
Right. Most of
I'm
them
not going to
don't.
offer it if it hasn't been updated.
Tampa Bay 23, Atlanta 20.
I guess, believe it or not, Mike Evans has an Emeka Egbuka problem.
Yeah, sort of.
I believe it.
Egbuka does he outscore Mike Evans rest of the year?
I mean, if we're going based on last year, the receiver opposite Mike Evans was outscoring him for the first 7 weeks of the season. So wouldn't be surprising until that guy broke his ankle.
Well,
What's interesting is Egbuka's touchdowns were long touchdowns, a 30-yarder, a 25-yarder. I kind of feel like those are touchdowns that are usually like they go Evans' way. I'm not sure what the coverage was like on those plays or on other plays. I know that Egbuka was in single coverage on both of them.
The most hilarious thing is that Baker Mayfield did not have a good game, but the one thing we all agreed on that he was going to have touchdown regression didn't happen at all.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, they only had the ball for 25 minutes, not even. He only threw 32 passes. So, and Evans did out-target him, Egbuka. Evans had 8 targets. I think I'd be looking to buy low on Mike Evans.
Oh, for sure. If you could turn anybody to Mike Evans, do that.
Well, I'm not sure that he has a problem. Well, I mean, I guess you're saying that he had a problem with Godwin, but Godwin was severely out-targeting him, whereas Egbuka didn't.
Well, so here's the thing you got to factor in, though. Godwin's coming back.
Yeah.
And so what happens when Godwin comes back to both of these guys?
Yeah.
So Egbuka might be a sell high candidate. Like if you could turn Egbuka into AJ Brown, do you do that? You could turn Egbuka into T. Higgins, do you do that? Like I think that the answer is yes, right? So
Of course, but
huh?
I don't know if anybody's giving you.
No, it's not a 1-for-1. There's no such thing as a 1-for-1 deal when you're trying to, hey, here, take this guy drafted in the 7th round and give me your 2nd round pick. Nobody's stupid enough to do that. But I think if you're putting together some sort of a package that you could try and say, here's Egbuka and for AJ Brown and, then those are the type of conversations that usually get started. So it's clearly one of those, conversations worth exploring. That being said, Egbuka looks fantastic. And the fact that Mike Evans is still going to be in some sort of a competitive situation for targets is not encouraging. Like, me, I was concerned about Evans when I thought Godwin was coming back. And then when it appeared as if Godwin's going to be in this delayed return / what we thought was going to be pup list, I was all in on Mike Evans. And so this is not encouraging for me. And listen, I love Egbuka. I'm really excited about him. But as a Mike Evans fantasy manager, like this isn't good.
All right. Well, it's just, I don't know. I guess I'm a little confused about that because what did we expect? He had more targets than Egbuka. Did we expect Egbuka not to have 6 targets? It's not. I mean, if anything, he has a Sterling Shepard problem. Shepard also had 6 targets, So Evans is the outside guy. Shepard and Egbuka both played about half their snaps in the slot. So I'm not sure why this is so bad for Evans unless Egbuka is just so good that they're going to start throwing to him more.
I think that's the thing is he turned those 6 targets into 67 yards and 2 touchdowns. Yeah. And is he just like, does he stay at 6 targets or is he so good that his targets go up?
Yeah.
You would think that they go up. I mean, he deserves more targets.
And how many games are we going to see Baker with just 32 pass attempts? Like we're going to see some games where Baker gets loose.
Just to go back to the Bengals stack, I played against Jack Capitordo in our Fantasy Football Today League, who has a Buck stack with Baker, Egbuka, and Evans.
Oh,
and combined for 62 PPR points, I believe it
was. Okay, so one more game in the early window. I'm going to call it the 11:30 a.m. window because that's the difference between the West Coast and the East Coast.
Okay,
so these are the 11.
No games start at 11:30 anywhere.
11:30 games. Pittsburgh 34, the Jets 32. We covered the Jets enough. Let's get to something from the Steelers.
The Jets are going to have a top 15 offense, believe it or not.
No, we just said we'd cover the Jets.
There's nothing to say about the Steelers. Aaron Rodgers threw 4 touchdown passes, and nobody really cares.
Well, Jalen Warren, what did you think about the Warren-Gainwell split?
Didn't like that.
No.
Are you dropping Caleb Johnson?
I just traded Brian Robinson for him.
Caleb Johnson. No question. I would not.
Caleb Johnson on the waiver wire and Dylan Sampson. Who are you picking up?
Sampson.
I'll pick up Johnson.
I'll pick up Sampson. If you see Caleb Johnson and Marquise Brown on the waiver wire, who are you picking up?
Brown.
Marquise Brown.
Yep.
Okay. And that'll do. Oh, by the way, I don't know if it was like a true shadowing, but Sauce Gardner definitely traveled with DK Metcalf. So that is a change for the New York Jets. And Metcalf did end to have a decent game. He had a couple of big plays, 4 for 83 on 7 targets. All right, we'll come back and talk about the late games, the ones that start at 2:30 p.m. East, 2:30 p.m. middle of the country. We'll be right back.
When you need your sports news all the time,
we've got breaking news to bring to you.
CBS Sports HQ gives you a snapshot of all the sports that matter to you. When you need your sports in a snap, find it on CBS Sports HQ, streaming free anywhere you are.
4 more games. San Francisco 17, Seattle 13.
Believe it or not, Ricky Pearsall is a top 24 wide receiver.
Believe it.
Especially if Jennings is out for a while.
4 games in his career with at least 6 targets. All 4 of them 14 PPR points more.
Yeah, this was like the low game for him, right?
guys, I got to be a little cautious here because McCaffrey getting all those targets is a little scary. Like, I get it. No, he's definitely going to be ranked that way if Jennings and Kittle are out, but Jennings and Kittle are out for the season. So I don't know that we should I was a little nervous about Pearsall 3/4 of the way through the game. I was like, what's going on here? Why isn't he getting thrown to? And he had a huge play down the stretch when they were trailing. So McCaffrey is a huge issue that wasn't there last year. Go ahead, Heath.
He and Jennings both had 5 targets, and Jennings went out, and Pearsall made it the rest of his day.
Yeah, I mean, he was okay before that, but he was great after. So I don't know. What do we think?
He had a 55-yard catch after.
Egbuka or Pearsall? Rest of season.
Today, Egbuka.
Right.
If we find out Kittle's going to miss a month and Jennings going to miss 3+ weeks, then it's Pearsall.
I feel like it needs to be a greater loss than that for Kittle and Jennings. Like, they've got to be gone for months.
I disagree because Godwin's coming back. That's such a big factor.
Yeah.
Derrick Henry's still good.
He is pretty good. Okay.
I think Thomas just won a fantasy match.
Nice. Way to go. Denver 20 and Tennessee 12.
Bo Nix sucked.
Yeah, this game was gross.
Bo Nix looked awful today.
Horrible. Yeah.
Believe it or not, Evan Ingram's droppable.
Who's droppable?
Evan Ingram.
I don't want to make rash conclusions about the Broncos off of this game. I'm not there yet.
4 targets on 40 pass attempts for Evan Ingram. Yeesh.
But at least he turned him into 21 yards.
You should not
Got
drop him.
hurt. I think he's okay.
He did get hurt. Yeah, briefly.
Yeah. I think if I saw him on the waiver wire, I'd be inclined to pick him up, especially like if I was the Njoku manager and this guy's out there. Free ad late in the week.
So you'd carry both those. You wouldn't be dropping Njoku.
I wouldn't drop Njoku for Ingram. I'd try and carry both.
Is Bo Nix the CJ Stroud of this year?
I think Adam called that this summer.
I kind of did. I mean, look, I don't think he's that good. And I think what he did in the second half last year is he threw all these passes at or behind the line of scrimmage. So I don't know what the Titans did today, but I feel like a whole offseason of preparing for that. I'm curious.
The 2 interceptions were going the opposite direction across his body.
Yeah.
And so I didn't like the throws. I also think the Titans defense, not as bad as probably we think in terms of like a layup. We get the privilege now of watching games with their former general manager, Rand Carthon. And so, like, just hearing some of his takes on some of those guys, like, okay, a little bit better than maybe giving credit for. But he just didn't look right today, and I think there's a buy low opportunity for Bo Nix, so if you can possibly trade for him, I would look to do that. And the touchdown throw to Courtland Sutton was beautiful. So, thankfully Sutton was still, great. But look, he got off to a slow start last year too before things, clicked. You just hope that he would have built off that coming into the season, but I wouldn't necessarily panic too much. And again, he's facing the Colts next week. Dave said it best. I don't think the Colts defense is something you want to necessarily think that's solved.
Right.
So
the Titans last year gave up the 3rd most points in football, but they were actually 5th best in yards per play allowed. So I just wonder if they had such a bad offense. Like, how many plays did they see? Did they see the most plays? Yeah, they saw the 2nd most plays. No, they didn't. I'm sorry. But yeah, I mean, they actually were good on a yards per play basis. So, all right. Let's go to, we have 2 more games left. I think
talk about Ridley.
It's pretty predictable, right?
Yeah.
Especially this week. He's a buy low too. He got the 8 targets that we thought he would have pretty much every single game this year. He wasn't great on them. I think he had a bad drop in there. But this was a tough matchup. Ward was definitely pressing. It's going to get better.
All right. The Packers with a statement win.
Well, let's go on. Would you rather have Deebo Samuel or Calvin Ridley moving forward?
I think I'd rather have Ridley.
Deebo.
It's so easy to say Deebo right now. I know Heath had it ranked that way. If I'm, not busting your ball, but like it's like Deebo looks like in a better spot with a better quarterback and clearly a better career.
Okay, so Green Bay 27, Detroit 13. By the way, Ridley is a better quarterback, but all right, Green Bay 27, Detroit 13.
I liked when he got them into field goal range to take the lead and then just ran backwards a couple plays in a row. That was a little Caleb Williams-esque. Believe it or not, the Lions missed Ben Johnson and Frank Ragnow.
And
Ragnow for sure.
Was I right or was I wrong on Tucker Kraft? I always enjoy the tight end touchdown.
Well, what do you mean?
I said he was a sit.
Oh, you're right. He had 7.6 points.
He didn't have 10 PPR points.
You're right.
He scored.
He had 4 targets. I'm worried about everyone. I mean, Matthew Golden, it looks like what a huge loser. They just have. This is what.
Wait. Just for a second.
Lions.
Because we got 70 minutes into the show, and the best offense in football doesn't score a touchdown until garbage time. Like we should probably
a ridiculous catch too.
Yeah,
from one of the guys that nobody started.
Yeah, Isaac Tesla.
They didn't run the ball well. They didn't pass the ball well. They didn't block well. They were a disaster.
Yeah.
And then they get the Bears on a short week next week at home. They're gonna be fine.
Something I heard on the broadcast, Jim Nantz and Tony Romo said that when they were talking to Dan Campbell, he basically insinuated that they were more happy about Kenny Clark leaving the division than they were concerned about Micah Parsons entering the division. So the fact that they couldn't run the ball on the that's what they said. I heard it. That's what they said. The fact that they couldn't run the ball on the Packers without Kenny Clark is kind of interesting and maybe a little concerning. What do you guys think? Is it just a 1 week blip or a cause for concern?
I want to see what they look like next week against the Bears at home.
They're not going to be this bad, but when was the last time? Like they didn't have one game close to this bad last year.
That's probably true.
I think first off, Heath was on this train the entire offseason, about the offense struggling and the loss of the coordinator, both coordinators obviously, but loss of, Ben Johnson offensively. We had the late retirement with Ragnow. They lost. Who was the guard they lost to?
They lost a guard.
Yeah.
Isiah Thomas? Joe Dumas.
Well, they lost 2 linemen. In any event, this Packers defense could be amazing. Absolutely amazing. And Goff has not played well in Lambeau for this is now 4 years in a row. So I think, again, this is one of those teams I wouldn't rush to judgment on yet.
I think he played great.
They come out and score 50 on the Bears next week.
He did play great in Lambeau last year, as I recall.
His points have not been great.
Yeah, he was 18 of 22. He wasn't great. 18 of 22, 145 yards and a touchdown last year, but he wasn't this bad. All right, Matthew Golden, though. I mean, the entire receiving core. This looks like it could be just a target mess.
Yep.
It's concerning.
Isn't it been like that though since LaFleur's been there?
Pretty much.
But we were not drafting Matthew Golden as if it were going to be this way.
Well, I think part of it was, would Reed be healthy? He looked pretty good today.
He did.
And how much would we see more pass attempts? Well, they didn't need to throw the ball that much today.
22 pass attempts. You're absolutely right. All right, look, it's his first game as a pro. We'll cut him some slack, but it's something to keep an eye on. Rams 14, Texans 9.
Believe it or not, CJ Stroud's rookie year was the mirage, not his second year.
He looked bad, man.
Well, how many times? I know it was only 13 carries, but it felt like in the second half they just kept giving the ball to Nick Chubb. Like, throw the ball to Nico Collins.
They were down 5 with 3 minutes to play, and they were feeding Nick Chubb at midfield. Before midfield.
To be fair, he had 13 carries for 60 yards. It's not like the passing game was doing anything. Remember, that I said on the preview, this Rams defense was freaking great. Their last 7 games or something like that, including the playoffs, they gave up 16.5 points per game or something like that. So this was a tough spot, potentially. I mean, I didn't know. Nobody was rating them that way, but they had been really. Oh, Derrick Henry.
I would start with the offensive line being a problem because the Rams didn't blitz him that much, and he was pressured on almost 40% of his dropbacks.
I think it was last week we did a buy or sell, and I said buy or sell. The Texans and Dolphins offensive lines are so bad that we should be downgrading their guys, and we didn't really,
Sure.
It's one game. You're not going to downgrade them for the season yet.
You can never.
There was another injury to the Texans offensive line, and then their left tackle was out for, I think, 3 snaps. Cam Robinson. He came back in. But
that injury, okay, you can never imagine it being this bad, I think. Like, they're going to struggle, but you can never imagine it being this impactful. If it was that. Concerned about Davante Adams at all? 4 catches, 51 yards on 8 targets.
He's almost lucky that was his stat line because he did not have a good start in this game.
Okay. I saw him make one really great catch, so I still believe.
Yeah, he still can do it. And 8 targets. We knew he wasn't going to be in double-digit target range every week. So this is just a down game for him, kind of a down game for the Rams offense and overall. Except for Nacua, obviously. Dude, the connection between Stafford and Nacua is undeniable again.
Yeah, he had 11 targets on 29 pass attempts.
And he left the game twice.
Holy cow, Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry.
But not Zay Flowers. All right, none for Gretchen Wieners, none for Zay Flowers. We'll talk to you all tomorrow on Beyond the Box Score edition of Fantasy Football Today. See ya.